Dear Neil Armstrong, I write this to you as she sleeps down the hall. I need answers that I think only you might have. When you were a boy, and space was simple science fiction, before the world knew your name, what was the moon like from your backyard? Your arms, strong, warm, and wrapped around her. Both of you gazing up from your back porch, summers before your distant journey.
I like how you mispronounce words sometimes, how you stumble and stutter and fumble, looking for the right ones to say and the right ways to say them. And I appreciate that you find language challenging because everything man-made is challenging, including man, including you.
I don't believe in marriage. No, really, I don't. Let me be clear about this. I think at worst, it's a hostile political act, a way for small-minded men to keep women in the house and out of the way, wrapped up in the guise of tradition and conservative religious nonsense. At best, it's a happy delusion.
Humans have never understood the power of love, for if they had, they would have surely built noble temples and altars. But this is not done, and most certainly ought to be done. To understand the power of love, we must understand that our original human nature was not like it is now, but different.
So a couple of weeks ago when Cate asked me if I was coming and if I'd be in her wedding, I was excited not only to perform for her and with these amazing people, but I was also a little scared because I was like, one, I've never really been to a wedding before. Two, what am I going to say? So I waited until words kind of spoke to me, and I saw these words that just made me think of you all. My friend wrote, "She is not my woman. She is her own. I am just lucky that in all of that freedom, she chooses to return to me night after night." These poems will communicate a lot of different vantage points when it comes to love, but ultimately, it is about this freedom. This freedom to be mad, crazy, dangerous, the freedom to be in love. So Neil Armstrong, a poem by Mike McGee.
Then we have an excerpt from the movie Freedom, and a collection of compliments from the daily odd compliments poem.
Aristophanes' speech in Plato's Symposium,
I Like Your Flaws by Stephanie Georgopoulos.
and a letter from the bride to the groom on their wedding day.
My sweet love, I love you so much that I have to write it down sometimes. I guess a lot of the time it just feels like no matter what I say, I can't make you understand how you make me feel. Because when it comes down to it, love does a pretty enough job at describing what those feelings amount to.
Not only would I catch a grenade for you, but I would pick it up and I would toss that shit back because nobody throws a grenade at you. It gets away.
Upon landing on the moon as the earth rose over the sea of tranquility, did you look for her? What was it like to see our planet and know that everything you could be, all you could ever love and long for, was just floating before you? Did you write her name in the dirt when the cameras weren't looking? What was it like to love someone so distant, and what did you promise in the moon's ear about the girl back home?
Before, human beings each had 2 sets of arms, 2 sets of legs, and 2 faces looking in opposite directions. Due to the power and might of these original humans, the gods began to fear that their reign might be threatened. They sought for a way to end the humans' insolence without destroying them. It was at this point that Zeus divided the humans in half.
When you sleep on your side, I like to map the constellations among your freckles and your birthmarks, the minuscule mountains on your skin. I like the tufts of hair you forgot to shave, and the way you smell after you haven't showered in a while. I like the sleep left in your eyes, and I enjoy seeing you insecure and vulnerable. I like to watch the red steam light up your face when you do something silly like skip a step or not know what to say to me. It's like you honestly don't understand how wonderful you are. It's like you have no idea.
You're so hot, you can melt the homes of polar bears. But it's okay because I know you wouldn't do that. But even if you did, the polar bears would understand. Yeah, no, they wouldn't. The polar bears probably be upset.
I ask you all of these things not because I doubt your feet. I just want to know what it's like to go somewhere no one had ever been, only to discover that she wasn't there. To realize your moonwalk would never compare to the steps that lead to her. I now know the flight home means more. Every July I think of you and I imagine the summer of 1969. How lonely she must have felt when you were gone. You never went back to the moon. And I believe that's because it doesn't take rockets to get you where you belong. I see that in this woman down the hall, and sometimes she seems so much further. But I'm ready for whatever steps will get me to her.
After Zeus divided the humans, the two parts, each desiring their other half, came together, and throwing their arms about one another, entwined in mutual embraces, longing to grow into one. So ancient is the desire of one another which is implanted in us. We must reunite our original nature, making one of two, and healing the state of humankind.
I want you to know what it feels like when you touch me. How your hands can wrap around me and make me feel so safe that the only thing I worry about is when being next to you will end, or how the softest brush of your fingertip makes me shivers. Gives me shivers. You keep me warm, leave me breathless, and hold me together. Love is the way you look at me when we're just sitting together. A look that appears as if you want to say so many things, but instead you are content to just watch me and suddenly smile. Our love is everything they write about in books. It's lyrics to songs people desperately want to understand. It's every scene of a movie that shows two people realizing that they're the one. Yet simultaneously, it's everything no one ever told you about.
The burns, the scars, the black and blues on your face, body, heart, I want to know their stories. I want to know who hurt you, what hurt you, how bad the damage is. I like your hard, ugly toenails and the layer of fat that surrounds your stomach, the soft parts you tried to hide. It's okay to be soft sometimes. I like how you can't dance and how the worst song on every album is your favorite. And I like how enthusiastic you are when you hear it. It's like you don't even realize how awful it is. And maybe that's how you're able to love someone like me.
You're the best person to hang out with, because if I ask you some ridiculous question like, if you're being chased by a hippo, what would you do? And you'll say something like, how fast is the hippo going? And that means you're taking the question seriously. I appreciate that.
I've seen so many skies, and the moon always appears the same. So I have to say the rock you landed on has nothing on the rock she's landed on. You walked around, took samples, and left. She built a fire, cleaned up the place, and I hope she decides to stay. Mr. Armstrong, I don't have much. So many times I have been upside down, trodden, but with these empty hands comes a heart that is full more often than the moon. She's becoming my world, pulling me into orbit, and now I know I may never find life outside of hers. I want to give her everything I don't have yet. So for her, I would go to the moon and back, but not without her.
Each of us, when separated, is but the indenture of a person. And we are always looking for our other half. And when one of us meets our other half, we are lost in an amazement of love and friendship and intimacy, and would not be out of each other's sight for even a moment. We pass our whole lives together, desiring that we should be melted into one. And so, that after our deaths, there will be one departed soul instead of two. This is the very expression of our ancient need and pursuit of the whole, is what we call love.
Our love is brutally honest and terrifyingly intimate. It's letting another person in to bear witness to everything you once kept private. It's painful without meaning to be, as I find my heart breaks from how much I love you. Not in the shattered and heart-aching way, but in a way that I have so much love for you. My heart breaks so I can store that love in my arms, my lips, and the legs that I wrap around you.
Your flaws single you out, set you apart, make you different from the rest, and thank God. I don't just put up with, settle for, accept your blemishes. I like them. I like them because they make you human. And humans are easier to love than photographs and illusions and ideals. Humans fit more easily between arms and legs. Humans are welcome to their imperfections. Because if there's one thing humans can do perfectly, It's love. They do it flawlessly.
So, as we gaze up with her arms around me, I will not promise her gifts of moon dust or the speed of light. Instead, I will gladly give her all the earth she wants in return for all the earth she is. The sound of her heartbeat and that laughter, and all the time it takes to fall from the sky and right into love. I would do this every day if I can just land next to her. One small step for a man, she's one giant leap for my kind.
These two people who truly love each other have no idea how truly miserable they're about to make each other. So no, I don't believe in marriage. But, when two people know that, and they decide with eyes open to face each other and get married anyway, then no, I don't think it's conservative or delusional. I think it's radical and courageous and very romantic.
I'm slowly figuring out what it means to share your life with someone, but I know it's exciting and intoxicating and alarming all at the same time. Not more than a minute goes by that I don't think of you, and every time I do, I smile. Because I still can't believe how lucky I am. Call it love, call it admiration, call it intense like, but never forget that in the center of our twisting, complex, unpredictable version of life, I will always be there waiting for you. Love always.